New fears tonight as hope fades for survivors, shelters overflowing with people now homeless in Japan as we get yet another look at the powerful force of Mother Nature. Good evening, I'm Micah Ullman. Tonight, the biggest concern in the ravaged country is fear of a full-blown nuclear catastrophe at a severely damaged power plant. KTLA's Brandy Hitt here now with more on this new threat just into the newsroom. Brandy.
Micah, new tonight, the Japanese Prime Minister said there are substantial amounts of radiation now leaking from the Fukushima nuclear power plant following yet another explosion. In fact, the Prime Minister is now asking anyone who lives within 19 miles of that plant to stay indoors. He says the radiation levels are high enough to impact human health. Another explosion has rocked a damaged nuclear facility in Japan.
There was a big impact or explosive impact.
Officials say it happened at plant number 2 in Fukushima, the same plant they've had problems keeping cool since last week's deadly earthquake and tsunami. And radiation levels are reportedly rising.
50 staff members remain on site, but others have evacuated.
A day earlier, an explosion in the number 3 reactor injured 11 workers as officials struggle to prevent a catastrophic release of radiation. New video is also surfacing showing entire villages being swept away by the massive tsunami, along with more harrowing stories of survival. From a rooftop, someone spotted the slightest movement inside this car.
There is still another person.
10 minutes later, an elderly woman was rescued days after the disaster. While many families are being reunited with loved ones they feared were dead, others continue their search.
He says he is looking for his wife on his bike.
This man's wife is among the thousands still missing.
Self-defense forces were searching for survivors or bodies for the first time, and within 5 minutes they found a body and then another and another.
KTLA's Frank Buckley had just filed this report on his way to Sendai, where the tsunami struck.
This is the kind of thing that we're seeing right back here. Let me get out of the way so that you can see what I'm talking about. This is debris, homes, vehicles, personal effects piled about 25 feet high right behind me, and we have seen this throughout this area.
Then within just the last 2 hours, Frank and other journalists were urged to evacuate Sendai following the explosion at the Fukushima nuclear plant.
Maybe as many as 10,000 people still unaccounted for. The situation is grim here, and the likelihood of those 10,000 people being found growing dimmer by the day.
And with journalists like Frank now leaving Sendai, you can clearly see the health concerns. In fact, Japanese government officials say they cannot rule out the possibility that all 3 reactors could have nuclear meltdowns. Micah, back to you.
Brandy, thank you. Tonight, the threat of a nuclear